Joseph Visser. My sources are www.cdc.gov, diabetesresearch.org, and diabetes.org. Okay. Today, I'm going to talk about diabetes and the different types of diabetes and how they are different. It's interesting to find out what the differences are because there's a lot of people that have it, and you need to know how they're living and stuff like that. It'll help a lot. So we're going to start off by talking about what diabetes is in general. So CDC.gov says that this condition is when the body doesn't process energy properly. So what happens is the energy is all built up in the bloodstream and it's not distributed to your cells properly, so you're walking around exhausted all day and stuff like that. Diabetes research also says that more than 380 million people have this disease, and it's growing every day. It's probably one of the most common diseases to have in the world. CDC.gov says that this condition comes with many complications, because this disease is an autoimmune disease. That means the body is attacking itself. So it comes with a bunch of other autoimmune disease that you can get later on down when you have the disease. And like it could cause nerve damage to your feet and eye damage and stuff like that. And also CDC.gov says that the things that happen before you are diagnosed are frequent urination, thirst, dropping weight really fast, and you're really exhausted, and you're really hungry. I'm hungry all the time. But since we've talked about diabetes and how, in a broad sense, I'm gonna take it down and talk about the certain types. So type 2 diabetes is diabetes where your body cells rejects the insulin. And so the insulin is what is used to bring the sugar in your body, coming from carbs and just straight up sugar, to go into your cells. That's what takes it and puts it in your cells, so you can have energy throughout the day. Diabetes type 2, the cells just won't accept it for some reason. So they're walking around exhausted, and their body's just accepting some insulin, rejecting insulin, but their body is still producing it. Diabetes.org says that 5% of people with diabetes have diabetes type 2, and that it is diagnosed within older people that are overweight. The people that are overweight are gaining the weight because of they're eating so many carbs and they're not burning it off. They're just sitting down, and then they have all that sugar just in their body, not being used at all. It's crazy. And the way that diabetes 2 is controlled is by exercising and dieting properly. Some people with diabetes type 2 just don't care. They'll eat whatever they want because they're like, my health does not matter. I want to eat whatever I want. Which is sad, but they don't live a long life. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh. But anyway, now that we've talked about diabetes type 2, we're going to move on to diabetes type 1 and tell you the differences within that. So diabetes type 1 is when your body just doesn't produce the insulin anymore. So you have all the sugar that's built up in your body and it's not being used at all. same thing with diabetes type 2, but your body's not even producing insulin. Diabetes.org says that children and adults are diagnosed with this disease, and actually 5% are type 1. When I talked about diabetes type 2, I meant to say that that's the most common with overweight and stuff like that. That's the most common type of diabetes. But diabetes type 1 is with 5% of people who have diabetes. So it's the least common type of diabetes. And they control their diabetes by injecting themselves with insulin or taking a pill. Now, they inject by using units and not milliliters or anything like that. And they have to control, if they eat a certain amount of carbs, they give themselves a certain amount of insulin and stuff like that. But both types of diabetes comes with the same effects, same complications, like they have to deal with all these type of diseases and stuff like that if they don't take care of their body. So now that I've talked about diabetes 1 and diabetes 2, we're going to conclude by saying it is important to know the differences between diabetes 1 and 2 and what diabetes actually is, to be able to live with your friends who have it, or live with your family, or live with people in general, and know what they have to go through, and know, remind them, hey, did you take your insulin? Or, hey, are you feeling okay? It's important to know the differences so that you can live with them and just have fun with them. All right, that's all I have to say. Thank you.